right, welcome back to Geekset Rewind, our special recap, rewind, rewatch podcast that we do. And right now, I am excited because
this is going to be fun.
So me and Didge had the pleasure of going to see Beyond the Spider-Verse early. And oh my God.
I think by now, I've tweeted it out.
Yeah.
My life was definitely changed by this movie.
Oh my God. This is by far, like, so the way we're going to do this, we're going to do this different from our normal rewind episodes. We're going to do a first spoiler-free episode, review where we talk about just, like what we like, what I'm saying? No spoiler, but just like the impact of it, the things that they did and everything. And then we'll go into in detail. Okay. So the spoiler-free, I just want to say, like, going into this, Into the Spider-Verse was so dope.
Right.
And so you're like, there's no way that they're going to...
Yeah, you're sort of thinking, like, okay, it's going to be on par with that.
Right.
Like, it's going to be just as good. And like you said, that was an amazing movie, so it would have been good.
Yeah. And this movie blew me out the wall. I said... Like, from the art style, they introduced more art styles, which, again, Into the Spider-Verse art style was already crazy and breaking. Oh yeah, was already crazy and just like late breaking for what they gave us. And so the fact that they stepped it up and gave us even more is ridiculous and so dope. And then again, like I said, the way that they addressed the Spider-Verse, just having like a multiverse.
Yeah.
It was really dope. The themes for me was all like the themes was really dope. Knowing that it's all about Miles coming into his own.
Yeah, having that sort of coming of age aspect of it was dope. You talked about the colors and like just how what I really liked was how music and animation worked so well together.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Like you could tell from so much of it that they were. I don't know if they listened to the song first or if they just were like, we're gonna pick the perfect song for this. But you could hear the music sort of start to change, and then the animation to change behind it.
I wonder if that's whoever's in charge of the music department, because even in Into the Spider-Verse, it was the same.
Yeah,
like that "Hello Danger." I don't know if Post made it for the song or not. I can't because I'm not a big Post Malone fan.
Fair, I'm not
either. I don't know if that song came out before or if it was in tangent with the soundtrack, but like it fit so well with that drop, that leap of faith that he had to take and everything. Like it fit so well. So it's like this is one of those properties where like the music is just as important. Like it's funny because this is really an artistic property.
Oh, for sure.
From the animation style,
to the music, to even the story.
Yeah.
All of it is told to sort of wind together.
Yep. And then even the basis of it, it's from a comic book, which is art.
Right.
So like it's really dope. And then like the representation, within this review, you're also going to be able to get our I interviewed the mom and dad.
Right.
I interviewed both of them, and so talking about representation of being black and Afro-Latina,
you definitely got that huge here where like you could see, and I've never been to Harlem. Yeah. So like, it felt authentic to me from what I know of people who have lived there.
From people that I know that, like I chopped it up, Brody, the Joker, shout out to him, comedian. He was saying like how like, I'm able to see, just like myself because of just skin tone alone.
Right.
But then talking to people who grew up in that type of dynamic, having one parent black, one parent, Latinx descent, so no matter what, it's Puerto Rican, Latin America or whatever the case, just being like a lot of people have identified with Miles because of that, saying, for the most part, like, okay, yeah, I may have seen a black character.
Right.
But it's like, to see somebody with that type of makeup and also connected to hip hop from the Harlem aspect, like that, there's a lot of people who has those similar, like you can see, like even like if you take just famous people, you take somebody like Fat Joe or Jennifer Lopez or something, like there's people who live that type of lifestyle who's like, oh, this is actually a character that even if I don't have the same makeup, I can relate to because of that. And it's just been really dope to see that.
Yeah, I think from what you're saying, I think a lot of people, and I know for me personally, why you gravitate to Miles is it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm putting on this character.
Yeah.
So like, he feels truly black and Latin. Like,
and you got to think about it. As a teenager, both cultures, both African Americans, black people, Latin people, Puerto Rican people, all that. We all struggle with our identity, right? Because of being in America, right? You have black people who's trying to I want to touch back to my roots, find my motherland. You have certain, people in that Latin community who's like, look, okay, I am trying to we as people, black people and Latin people, and just any marginalized group, we make it a point to try to make other people comfortable with us representing who we truly are, right? So that's that inner struggle. So seeing that in a movie, because like I said, you have him not only fighting to find his identity there, but now also trying to find his identity as a Spider-Man,
right?
And then even
outside of that, just trying. So you're already, like you said, the race, being a Spider-Man. You're also just trying as a person.
As a person. And it was, like I said, not getting too much into spoiler territory, but like in this, he thinks he finds his tribe, only to find out like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So now, and then y'all even trying to tell me what I'm supposed to be.
Right.
And I need to really find out who I am and who I want to be. Like, they really did a lot with this animated movie.
They did. And that's why, like, I thought about it, obviously, Snap Judgment when we left. We're like, this is the best Spider-Man movie ever. Not even close. And so you sit and think about it. Like, after it all wears off, you're like, what was it? Honestly, still yes.
Still yes. Because from a superhero movie, it gives you everything that you want in a superhero movie. From action, the villain was good. The villain's arc, his arc was crazy.
Amazing.
It was crazy, and it still fit. It still went on theme. So like you get that, and then if you are a film buff and you want the storytelling, the artistic version of it, it give you that.
It gave like realistically like 4 stories.
Yeah.
And the way that they all intertwine to tell this overarching story, I know we're still in spoiler-free territory. They're running close to that limit though. You might have to pause here if you ain't watched it.
Well, that's what I was going to say before we get into our full spoiler review and everything. How many Eagles you giving this one?
5 easily.
I'm giving it 5 easily too because
I'd give it
everything.
6 if I could.
All right, so here, pause here if you haven't seen it. And then like I said, just pause it here, go watch the movie, and then come back and watch this because we're about to get into a full spoiler alert, spoiler warning. All right. So, first things first, like the way that the movie started.
With Gwen, with hers, yo, that was crazy. Because then I was like, because one, it's everything that we kept seeing in the first one.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember. I need to go back and watch it. Did we not get hers in the first one?
So, they always play around with that. All right, let's start this from the beginning.
Right, I get that.
So they did that, but they didn't really get deep into her story. You just had I think when they was introducing all the Spider-Mans, it was more so, all right, let's start this from the beginning. I'm the Spider-Man from this place, but and I think that
you're right. Okay, that makes sense.
They didn't really dive deep into it. So just getting Gwen's story, and again, it sets the tone of what this whole movie's about because the villain trying to find his identity, Miles trying to find his identity, Gwen trying to find her identity. Like it was just like it fits so well. Even Miles's parents, his pops, and everything.
He's trying to find his like you said. The overarching theme of the movie is definitely who are you and how that journey to figuring that out.
Yeah. So when they get into Gwen's life, and then it's like the foreshadowing because even at the end when you realize a tragedy has to happen for every Spider-Man,
which is very fucked up.
It is.
You just no matter what Spider-Man, you gotta have.
That's that finite things. Like we seen that because remember in What If that was Doctor Strange's storyline. It was like you can't change this tragic point. It is what I forgot what they call it.
I forgot what they called it. In here they called it a canon point.
Yeah.
But to your point of it being in What If, and obviously we already know that they had the MCU tie-in. They just kept the same damn rules.
They can.
I didn't think about that. It's because, this is already tied in, so the rules have been told to you. Yeah. You know this. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. And we're dealing with different people realizing, I can't change it. Because you got to think, because
that's the issue when you get multiversal powers, or at least where you can navigate it.
Yeah.
Because like you even see it with the Flash. You see it with everybody who is that person who is the beacon of like whatever verse. Like Miles at that point was obviously the beacon of the Spider-Verse. You saw Flash of the Speed Force, right? And interdimension thing that they always deal with is, all right, I want to save everybody, especially the people I love, and it's like, no, but you can't change this point,
right?
And that's you know what I'm saying.
It makes sense. I know, like there's always been. What was that Ashton Kutcher? I think what is it, the butterfly effect?
Yeah, butterfly effect.
There's always movies and stuff like that, but comics really drive that point home. Like the butterfly effect stuff happened. Comics, they drive it home. Like, yo, the world will cease to exist.
Well, you gotta have a tragedy. You can't have a superhero. Or is there any superheroes out there with no tragedy?
With no tragedy
origin?
I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess he got still a tragedy.
Well, I guess it depends. His start wasn't a tragedy,
right?
It was survival more.
That's all. Like that's.
But then when you go into his story, there's a whole lot of tragedy that could have led him there early, but that wasn't what led him to being Iron Man.
Right. So his was like, I need to live, and then I'm just gonna continue this. Like his is the closest.
Do you rather a tragedy story or
no? You're right. You gotta have a tragedy. You definitely gotta have a tragedy.
Right. And so we deal with again also like you have that like her tragedy, and what's funny is that wasn't even the main tragedy for her. Like she saw her best friend die,
and it's like, hey, your big tragedy still coming.
And it was really to the hands of her, but like what started like the path to the tragedy was her dad, Captain, conflicted, like, all right, because remember the world thinks that Spider-Woman killed him, killed Peter, and so it was like a crazy twist, in which I'm like, I guess I didn't know that much about Gwen, like Spider-Gwen's story.
I didn't either. Right. I didn't know. That was the one thing I was always wondering, like, hey, where's the Peter in her universe?
Yeah, so and he ended up turning into pretty much a version of,
I think, supposed to have been Lizard.
Yeah, Lizard, and everything like that. And so, we get introduced to, well, that was Spider-Man 2040. What was his name?
Which one?
Multiverse.
Oscar Isaac's one? 2099.
2099, because, first we get introduced.
First we get to
Issa's.
Yeah, and she was Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman.
Jessica Drew. And she came in badass.
With the bike and everything?
With the bike and with the baby.
Yeah. And that baby in there going crazy. What's going on?
What's funny, too, is like, that, not knowing about all the other Spider people, I don't know if that character, they gave the characteristics to match Issa or what, but like Issa fits so well as the character.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Hers had me have questions like, how well known is she as a Spider-Woman in her universe? Like, does she not have a secret identity? Because you could be curious at some point when such and such pregnant and all of a sudden Spider-Woman pregnant too.
That is true.
I'm assuming she just ain't got a secret identity.
Well, and then also I'm wondering, is she doing the Batwoman thing? So Batwoman wears a red wig.
Oh yeah.
So even though she's pregnant,
she gotta hold it.
Is that really her hair, or is that like an Afro puff wig? So then, because then that can help conceal it.
That can definitely help. We realized how glasses fooled people in comics. We realized that quickly.
Yeah. But like I said, so when you get introduced to her, because like I said, because what happens is Spider-Gwen, as she's continually going through her trying to navigate between her pops and also being Spider-Gwen, this Renaissance style ass
that was the first time I was like, this
of the
art,
Vulture, Renaissance style of the Vulture shows up.
That was the first time I was like, yo, this art is going crazy,
because it was literally like Renaissance style art, and he was going crazy, and he was, but and again, pacing. I like the pacing. Immediately he's asking the questions that we're asking. He's like, why am I here? What is going on?
Then he was pissed at the art, which was funny. Yeah. Like, he was like, yo, this ain't art.
Which it got really meta. I do also, it's funny because also I guess I didn't even think about the quips that all every Spider-Man has. Because Spider-Man was dropping them quips.
Also funny that's just, you gotta have that as a Spider-Man. You a Spider person, you gotta have quips no matter what. That's funny.
But when Oscar Isaac Spider-Man comes, like I said, he comes and he's immediately, like I said, because like Easter Spider-Woman is helping out, you know, and then he comes to kind of finish it off. And like, so you have that moment of trying to figure out, like Spider-Gwen trying to figure out, okay, do I continue to try to figure out what to do with my dad? Because now my dad wants to arrest me, but he doesn't know what I want he want to do. I done revealed myself to him, and it didn't really change anything,
which is crazy. I don't know if I ain't gonna lie.
Did you think it was gonna?
No, I knew it wouldn't have, but it's still crazy. Like I don't know if I would have had that in me. I
just wonder why it's always like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why I'm like, you know, we see it obviously in, you know, in Ms. Marvel, it was different,
right?
You know, then we see it in the Blue Beetle coming up. It was a little bit different.
Yeah,
you know, it's like I tend to like that more now. I like it when the family is receptive, because in my eyes, like I feel like if you hit for me this whole time that you was a superhero and you tell me, I'm not gonna be mad where like I'm not gonna talk to you. The first time I'm like, nigga, why you didn't tell me earlier?
Yeah, I get the annoyance. I get being annoyed if somebody like held their secret identity, but that's a very quick annoyance because all of the other stuff that went along with it, you're gonna start thinking about it like, well, okay, I get it. You know, this makes sense.
Yeah. So, you know, so when they get to the Spider-Verse, well, no, not to the Spider-Verse. So after that, when that wraps up, then we jump back to Miles.
Yeah.
We jump back to Miles, and Miles is, you know, stopping a crime at a bodega.
very, very New York.
Very New Yorkish. We get introduced to
that was his name Spot?
Was it Spot?
Cause I know he a known villain. I thought it was Spot. They never actually fully named him. I
thought they did. Remember, he kept on calling him because he wanted to be Miles' villain. Remember?
Yeah, he did want to be. Let me see. It might be the Spot. I'm not like.
But yeah, so like we get introduced to him before he's full villain, and again it comes down like, which also I'm like, well, okay, what did he know? Because he kept on saying, I'm like, he was referencing a point in the future, but he was like,
well,
I'm the villain.
I think it's because, well, one, I think he wanted to be his villain. I think that was sort of his driving thing.
Oh, okay.
And so he's just saying like, look, I am your villain. You don't understand it because he clearly knows it was Spot. Yeah. Okay. He clearly knew about the quantum stuff because he was there when it got fixed.
Yeah, I don't think he knew how. Yeah, because later on we get into his origins on how he became. But like, you know, pretty much this villain is that he can create this infinite kind of like black hole spots, but he can go through them.
Which is an annoying power.
Annoying power.
Like, you know, I felt that frustration in that fight.
And then, you know, saying so like, you know, and Miles, he has to get to his dad's.
It's like
his birthday.
Was it his birthday or was it his? Cause did they have two parties? Remember, his dad also got promoted. I thought it was a promotion party.
It was the promotion party.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the promotion party. So he had to get to no. It was not the promotion party. He had to get to the school.
That's right. They were doing a career, like it was like career counseling or some shit.
Counseling, and so he was. So like I said, we see. So he's trying to fight this and this villain who doesn't necessarily know the extent to his power.
No,
because they just was falling through things and everything like that. They just kept on falling through, but and we're dealing with that, you know what I'm saying? But before we got there, I forgot one part. Oscar Isaac's Spider-Man, the one thing that he dropped when they was trying to determine are they going to bring Gwen or not.
Oh, the MCU connection.
The MCU connection, because he was like while they was fighting and they was talking about what was going on, and she was like, "Why are you here?" He was like, "Because y'all broke the multiverse." He was like, "Don't get me started on the wizard and that kid."
Yeah, from what did it say, 19999 or something like that.
And that was the first one. We was like, "Yo, okay, it's canon." Everything's canon. And like I said, this movie did a really good job of doing that. They added so much more to kind of be like, "No, really, we are canon."
And it was so subtle where it's like, it was so seamlessly put in together where it's like, okay, you know for a fact that it is what it is. They're a part of the world now.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, like I said, what ended up happening is Spider-Man stops the villain, but then he ends up falling through one of his own spots. And then that's when he gets like, he kind of starts gauging like, yo, where am I at?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in my spot. Wait, I can go anywhere. And, you know, and then that thirst for more power.
Yeah.
So he can become Miles' true villain.
Bro, that power is crazy. Like being able to use these spots to go to a new dimension.
Yeah.
Is insane.
Yeah. So, you know, And then, like I said, so then we get the first instance though of like really dealing with Miles and his relationship with his parents.
Yeah.
Because his dad is trying to figure him out. You know, obviously Miles living two lifestyles. He's missing things. He's not coming up on time.
Missing classes, it was saying.
And everything. So they're trying to plead his case. He even shows up late to that.
Right.
But then he even has to leave early because Spot pops back up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, and they go through this big old thing because dad got to leave too because he gets the call.
Right. Because, dad a cop. Gotta go handle Spot as well.
And then, like, I mean, they do fuck up the town because of those unpredictability of these spots,
man,
and everything. But a good moment though is that you got that moment that Miles got to talk to his dad as Spider-Man.
Yeah,
about Miles,
which was dope because obviously that's foreshadowing. We saw him use it later in the film, like trying to use it back. So that was dope to like they had a moment. Even not knowing, well, from his dad's side, not even knowing that they having a moment.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things I like when I interviewed Brian Tyree Henry, I told him, I said, you know, the black dad tropes that he brought to this role, like it felt like
it very much felt like a black dad.
Yeah, because even later on, like even the relationship from the dad and the mom, you know what I'm saying? Because Lauren Velez plays the mom, and to me, they seem like parents. They seem like parents who are connected in tangent, but working off each other, right?
Yeah.
Because he still had the, all right, whatever your mom says goes. Because even when he wanted to punish him, he was like, hey, can I do it? Can I do it? Like, that felt like a mom and dad joke, like, go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
get him.
And I thought that it was just, it felt really good, like that family aspect of it. And I felt like and what's crazy is Into the Spider-Verse, we got more of the, like, Miles Morales' story, you get a lot of him and his mom's relationship. So Into the Spider-Verse linked more into him and his dad's relationship. So now, like I'm thinking solely like of the video games and like, you know, and the movies that we've gotten within the past 5 years. Like we've gotten a lot of Miles, right? So it's like this was like you seeing both finally.
Right. That was what I was gonna say. Obviously he had his moments with his mom throughout the film. Mm-hmm. He had his moments with his dad throughout the film, but it was some of the best moments where they were trying to still interact as a family. Yeah.
Because again, like I said, you know, we have that, and then so while again he's getting chewed out by his parents for being late to that thing and breaking out early, and then all of a sudden Gwen pops up,
right?
You know, which they have their connection back and everything. And
we got to talk about how obsessed this man was.
He was obsessed with her because when she opened that book, she was like, "Hey, I missed you too."
All those drawings she was on he spray painted the one with her.
But you know, to his defense, it wasn't just Gwen. You know,
no, it was all of them. It was all
love
of
infection. But like, he really, because you know, at that point you got to think after the events of Spider-Verse, he did all that to gain the respect and, you know, mutual, you know, with this group of Spider-Verse people, not knowing that there's infinite more.
Right. So expecting that he was never going to see them again.
Yeah. So in his eyes, he's like, dang, the one group who got me,
I
can't even talk to them no more because they somewhere in this Spider-Verse and I can't really toy around with this. So when she pops back up, he's excited, but then also she's acting a little strange.
Yeah, of course. You know you can tell she's hiding something.
She's hiding something because she's I think it was like 3 months she's been with that Spider Council.
Yeah, she was with them for 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months, and so so we think that like, okay, she just finally, because remember they're operating with this little thing that allows this watch that allows them. So we're thinking like, oh, she just finessed her way to finally see him because I mean to Miles' defense, she also was missing Miles. She wanted to get back to him as well too. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like it was just a one-sided thing. And you know, while she's doing it, like, you know, when they're really just, she's like, they're having pretty much fun Spider-Man fun.
Yeah, like, that was very much Spider Date. Like
they compete, you know, who can weave through the small things and weave through towns. But like she's planting like, you know, spider.
Man, it was like
retcon.
She was fully definitely using that to do her job because she was planning plenty cameras.
Yeah, planning plenty cameras and everything.
I thought the cameras at that time was like to watch him.
I thought so too until we saw Spot go.
Yeah, then when we saw him, I was like, okay,
he goes into a building randomly and it's kind of shifty, and she even has the moment where like they swinging through the town and he's like, "Yo, where you go?" And she ducks off, but it's really her planting more stuff, right? And so like they having their moment, you know. Now this is where the captain thing, because that's when he was at, because remember he technically he was supposed to get a cake and show up.
Yeah, that's right. So Miles was supposed to have to bring the cake.
And because after he went on kicking it with her, as he was going to the cake, things just kept on happening on the way back. And then, you know what I'm saying? So then, you know, he shows up late. You know,
Cake's ruined.
Cake's ruined. He gets yelled
I forgot.
at.
I think it says like I'm not impressed or something.
Yeah, and so then he gets, you know, technically gets put on punishment.
Yeah,
but then then like I said, he's running around with Gwen, and so like his mom. I mean, just like a mom, you know, she can tell that he's really in love.
Yeah, so. You could tell that he was pulling on her heartstrings.
Yeah,
okay, you a good kid. You just having a little trouble.
Yeah, but when she sees him with him, just like a mom, she's like, wait, who is this girl?
Yeah.
Because they go, I mean, she really pretty much goes cock block on him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Asking questions and everything. But because, I mean, what it is prior to that, I mean, when he did sneak out with her the first time, they saw her jacket there. So they knew that there was a girl there. And you got to think, as a teenager, and as a parent,
it makes sense.
All right,
you're like, all right, what's going on here? So I fully get it. You know, you got to look at it from both sides.
And, you know, I also like just even that moment that him and Gwen had, like, the way that they did it, just like, you know, showcasing their spider people. So like when it was underneath that thing, and
they
like,
talking, sitting really upside down. It was dope to see how casual it all was.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And then, you know, we get interrupted because obviously whatever Spot was up to, it went down because there was a huge explosion and everything. And when she gets there, that's when we start getting the pieces of stuff. Like she was there because they seem to be like the TVA. They monitor the timeline. They fix that's gonna be because that's what Oscar Isaac character was doing.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why he was trying to get the Renaissance, he was putting villains back in their original timeline, which is crazy because, again, that's what Spider-Man was doing.
Yeah.
And No Way Home, remember?
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
That was and it seems like that's the running thing. If people get displaced out their timeline,
things go crazy.
You got to get them back to their timeline, right?
Right.
And so with Spot, you know what I'm saying, because he's the wrench in that plan because he's technically not necessarily even from. Well, no, he is from our timeline,
but he
can go to other timelines.
Right, he can do it without something causing it.
And then we also forgot to mention though. One of the things that Gwen had brought up early too was we should bring in Miles because remember he was the one that with the collider and everything, and they was like, no, we know, like, because remember Oscar Isaac, he even said, he's like, you know why she can't be there, which we find out later, because her connection to Miles, and so you know what I'm saying, so like we have this, and so when she breaks off and leaves, Miles he starts feeling He starts putting the pieces together, and I forgot that he had the invisibility,
which is such a cold power.
It's such a cold power.
It's a great spy power.
Yeah, because he follows Gwen, and once he follows Gwen, you know, in his cloak, he sees her talking to Spider-Woman, and he kind of hears what's going on.
Yeah, and
so you know she got to go back to what was their headquarters called again?
I don't remember. I thought it was just like Nueva York. Like it was like a future New York.
Yeah, it was. But like wherever all the Spider-Verse, she has to go back. And so Miles, he has this moment where he's like, all right, do I go fix what I'm doing with my parents, or do I try to fix this because obviously there's something bigger going on?
Which I get it. That's something I think any hero would have did. Is like these human powers can be fine for now. I gotta handle this multiverse threat.
Yep. And then when he sneaks through, I mean, that's when now we really see this thing. Cause like, and what's funny is that like when he comes through and everything, he's like, you see probably like a good 50 Spider-Man. Yeah. And you're like, oh shit, all right, this is the Spider-Verse. And she's like, yeah, really? There's a whole
like this. What she said, like this is just like the entrance hall. Like that's crazy. And you saw almost every conceivable Spider-Man. Like the game Spider-Man was in there. Like the game Miles was in there. Like all of them.
We saw the dinosaur Spider-Man. We saw the Spider-Man that was a cowboy and the horse even
the horse. They had to ask, hey, why the horse got it? And I'm mad that the answer was, bro, secret identity.
We had brooding Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Who just like everything was there. We had we get introduced to Spider-Punk. We get introduced to
Indian Spider-Man,
Lego Spider-Man,
who's apparently one of the best in the force.
Yeah, like, old schools like cartoon Spider-Man. Yeah. It was so many Spider-Man and just different variations of it, which was really dope. And
Spider-Bite was in it.
Spider-Bite, and shout out to all like the actors, Andy Samberg, Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like there was so many people who got a chance to just voice just different Spider-Man, and then it just made you like, oh man, I want these stories.
Right. Like they set this up perfectly. Like I know they're supposed to be, I think it's a specifically Spider-Gwen spinoff.
Yeah.
But they set it up perfectly. Like, look, we could give you any spinoff.
Spinoff.
You want Spider-Punk? We got you.
We got you. And like so, we realized like again, like this is like the elite Spider-Man. But it does remember at this time we don't know why they don't want him because after
we're just sort of
we're looking at all these Spider-Man. We're like, okay, some of these Spider-Mans is not as OP as Miles. Why isn't Miles there?
Yeah, you start you get the full scope of what their mission was, and that's when you got the next dope Easter egg of seeing Donald Glover.
Like, yo. So they're walking through people who are displaced from their timeline. And so then they get to this point where they're walking, because most of it is villains fucking up the timeline. So you seeing all the villains that they had. So they're mentioning stuff because I think they even drop a Rhino Easter egg.
Yeah, I think they talked about the stuff that happened in some of the different.
They talk about how the different variations of it. Yeah, like we have a Rhino, but this Rhino's like this person.
That Rhino, he was like a legit just Rhino.
Yeah. And then we walk past one of the prisons, and we get Donald Glover in full costume of Prowler.
Yeah, and he just
and he's chilling with the mask off, but like again, that's the next thing because we're like, oh shit, the MCU, that MCU is connected.
That Prowler is our part of all of this.
All of it, because now where's the story? Because the last time we saw him, he was in the he was doing a drug. Oh, not a drug.
No, it was like it was like a weapons deal.
The weapons deal, but he was talking about he was talking about his nephew.
Yeah, he was like, my nephew Miles.
And to me that was dope because like I said, like one, you gave him the full fit and it fit because you got to think, even when you think about the game Prowler, the show's Prowler, and even it's like Prowler is like he's an anti-villain pretty much, not an anti-hero because he doesn't necessarily do hero stuff. He is a villain, but it's not like a villain take over the world. He's just I need to get this money for my family. And he doesn't necessarily do anything good, for the most part. Right. So it's like when you think about how Donald Glover is as a person and personality, like it fit so well to where. So like that was a really dope Easter egg. And then we finally get like this is when we truly do get the whole story of Miles, Oscar Isaac's Spider-Man, and everything.
His character. That's when you figure out that you figure out why he's so gung ho on wanting to keep the multiverse together, even though he fucked up first.
Yeah. Well, first things first, like even beforehand, because like we said, we get that introduction of him telling Miles no. Of telling Miles like, hey, like you shouldn't have came here, right? Yeah. Because if I'm not mistaken, they got to deal with that first. They got to deal with that first anomaly. Because remember, they get introduced. Like as Miles is seeing everything, he gets introduced to the whole spider thing. He starts seeing all his old people. Yeah. And he starts questioning like, yo, why is everybody here? You know what I'm saying? He see OG Peter, being with his baby
got
and
the
everything.
Baby and everything.
But then things get interrupted when another anomaly happens.
Yep, that was when they had to go. That's when they had to go to India. Yeah. That's when they met Spider-Man. India. I don't know what his actual name is.
Yeah, I don't know what his actual name is, but they meet him and they have to stop another villain that's displaced. And there's this big catastrophic thing that's happening because of the bridge about to collapse and everything.
And that's when you first get introduced to the canon moment. That's when he pops up. Gwen sees it like, hey, there's a canon moment about to happen. Make sure
somebody tells her.
I think it was
which is another dope Spider-Man, the Spider-Man who's all VR.
Oh yeah, it was Spider-Bite.
Yeah, Spider-Bite. We get introduced to her, which is just a character who plugs in and becomes Spider-Man. Right. But she's pretty much control center for this whole Spider-Verse, so she lets them know like, hey, a canon event's about to happen. And so anybody who knows the canon event is just even without even knowing the context, all right, this is an event that is canon to the story that has to happen.
Right.
And we realize is that that captain is trying to save this little girl. One of them got to die. Because remember at that point,
it always has to be the captain.
We know that, but I mean, at that point, we just see
yeah.
a captain and a little girl in danger, and we know like, okay, one of them's going to die. So of course, Miles and his Spidey sense kicks in, and Gwen tries to stop him. She's like, no, but he's like, no, I got this.
Yeah, remember he thought it was because she was like, oh, I'm worried you're not gonna make it.
And remember at that point, he's trying to prove that he belongs in this this secret agent Spider-Verse, and so he saves both, which is you think like, oh shit, all right, yeah,
you think cold,
and then that's when we realize because when they get back to headquarters, you know, that's when Oscar Isaac lets them know, like, yo, like I get what you did, but you really fucked up everything.
Because then did they already start showing his universe starting to mess up, or was it just still the threat?
There was the threat because the first meeting, it was explaining to him what they are doing.
Okay.
So they're like, yeah, what happened is what you did with the collider and everything. Though you did save your universe and everything, you really messed up the whole timeline. And then they got interrupted. But then when they come back, he's like, no. He's like, why is everybody mad? I saved the day. And he's like, you stopped the canon moment. And then that's when they explain to him the canon moments, and he's questioning like, well, then how come like my pops, you know, he's about to be captain? What's going on? And he was like, the reason why that your canon moment didn't happen and now you're Spider-Man is that Spider.
Well, no, because no, he also does think that his pops is going to die. Because they all kind of alluded to it. Well, like
before he gets that realization and everything. Because remember they're explaining to him. That moment where they explain to him the reason why everything transpired and everything is off is because you got bit by a spider that wasn't your spider.
Which is weird because all of it did still kind of happen. Well, obviously his dad didn't die yet, but when you look at every Spider person has to have an uncle die. His uncle did die, and he was there when his uncle died.
I think that he just happened too early. Because remember the resulting end of it was with the spider where it came from. That Spider-Verse didn't have a spider. Man.
Yeah, that spider it happened in 40. But it's weird that it all still happened to Miles.
Well, I mean, gotta think. I mean, maybe because obviously Miles is still supposed to become a Spider-Man. I think that he was supposed to become Spider-Man at that time.
Oh, it could be. That could be true. The way that he and Oscar Isaac obviously was just playing the villain here. He was like, you aren't supposed to be Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, I mean, at that point, that's what he was telling them. But I mean, the way I took it was he wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man at that time. Because you got to think. I mean, think about his power set. He had powers unprecedented to anybody because of that spider in that universe.
They all have sort of.
They do, but
so I wonder if those powers are just whatever the Spider-Man. Because and obviously we end up as we're going through the movie, we end up going to that universe that the spider is from. That was when I first realized like this is gonna be a cliffhanger. Yeah. When he got they sort of sent him home and they go to his DNA and you see, like I said, I saw the 42.
Yeah, you saw it too because before you get that, the one part that I forgot to explain was when the way that they send villains back to their universe is that everybody pretty much has like an imprint barcode on you about your universe. And
it's your DNA.
They're through DNA. So they got a spider, like a literal big ass spider thing mechanic that it pretty much wraps you in a web and transports you back to your universe.
Right.
So we start seeing where everybody's universe is actually from.
Right.
And so when they're explaining to him, they're like, and that's the thing. They kept on saying the Spider-Verse from this universe.
I think it was like 42.
And that spider shouldn't have bit you. Right. So, but it's based off of the spider. It's really your DNA, but
the spider.
Of the spider that sends you back to your universe. So, like, they kept on pinpointing that. So when they're explaining to him, like, you know, the reason why we didn't recruit you is that you technically not even supposed to be a Spider-Man.
And that threw off
because pretty much everybody knew. But like they was like, yo, but Miles is like he's pretty dope. So like the people that fuck with him.
Yeah, you could tell because even before all of that, because remember Spider-Punk, he was off of it ASAP.
Oh, Spider-Punk,
he was from minute one we saw Spider-Punk. You got the vibe that he was just. I'm just kind of here because I got to be here.
Yeah, he was taking shit.
So then by the time when they was already before they even laid the big thing, like, bro, you're not supposed to be a person. Yeah. A spider person, he was like, bro, I'm off this.
Yeah, because they was trying to send him back before they got interrupted.
Yeah.
So now he's like, bro, look at what you're doing. So we definitely got to send you back. But they explained to him like every spider person once your uncle becomes or or grandma.
Yeah, because remember,
or
it was always uncle. It was always uncle. No, was it somebody close? It might have just been somebody close.
Somebody close to you is going to have to die, and so pretty much his moment probably would have been coming up soon because his dad was becoming captain and he was supposed to die based off of that.
The thing that threw me off about it is because remember he kept saying you're the reason why Peter in that universe died. Because you got bit by a spider that wasn't supposed to be there.
Well, because that Peter was supposed to be there to help him.
Okay.
Like, you got to think like, okay, that Peter probably would have been there to stop him because that Peter's Uncle Ben passed away or anything like that, right?
I took it as they were saying one spider person per universe.
Well, I think it is. Also, because you got to think,
which is weird because the game one was there, so I don't know.
True, yeah, but you got to think there wasn't that many Miles. Like Miles may be the newer ones,
yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying. Because you got to think there's always a Peter, and then once Peter, like there's always a Miles, right? And then so it's like, but then in that universe, that Miles end up going down the dark side. Because,
yeah, that's how we get to that. Like I said, yeah, when they get changed to the. When you see the universe that he's getting sent to,
yeah, I don't because he remember he leads them on a run.
Yeah,
which is like because he's like once they explain to him that tragic is a canon moment, it's going to happen. He's like, nah, I don't believe that. He's like, I'm going to help and I'm going to save my pops, and they're like, you can't because it has to happen.
Yeah, that's right. So they weren't going to send him home anymore because they didn't want him to stop it.
They put him in the prison.
Yeah, you were just going to kind of be stuck there.
Yeah, because you got to think. Technically, they look at him like, bro, you just keep on disrupting the timeline.
Yeah, you doing too much. We got to take you out from everything.
You becoming a Spider-Man was a disruptor. You doing the whole Collider situation was a disruptor. You actually created this villain that we are dealing with and everything. This big major villain who's been just going to the universe getting way more Collider powers and everything because his goal was to become the biggest villain. So like now you did that, and then also you just saved this. Like you done disrupted the timeline like at least 5 times,
right?
That we could count on. We need to stop you, and it's not even like. It's just you're too good at heart, but you're not willing to let things happen because even when Oscar Isaac was explaining it, he was explaining like how his died and how Spider-Gwen popped.
Well, remember he also went to the wrong universe.
He tried to do what Miles is doing.
Yeah.
And that's what he's trying to tell him. He's like, bro, you can't. I've already been down this road. I've been doing what you've been doing, and it only leads to pretty much what happened to Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
You know, the destruction of your whole universe.
Okay. What did they call him? Incursion? I don't remember.
But like, yeah, his whole universe got disrupted. So his plight is to stop other universes from going down that same path.
Right.
Where Miles is like, again, he's green. He's like, no, I can stop. It was like, fuck it.
He said Spider-Man can do it all.
Yeah, we can do it all. So it's like, it is that. So once he finally breaks out, which he kind of leans towards No, that's later on. He breaks out that prison. He leaves them on the what's the name, so that way he can run back.
Yeah, because they go up that rocket to the moon or whatever.
And we see a whole bunch of different Spider people as well, like, which is dope. But when another connection to the MCU, when Oscar Isaac was telling him about everything, we started seeing all the Uncle Ben.
Oh yeah, you saw the Uncle Ben.
Garfield. Yeah. Like we started seeing everything, and it's really dope because they pretty much canonized every Spider-Man property. Every Spider-Man property is canon in a Spider-Verse way, and which was really dope how they did it. But like I said, then we realized, like I said, as they're going up that rocket, he's like, at least I got everybody here. Because then he does his dive again and goes back and tries to set himself back to his own timeline.
Yeah, the only one who was still there was Spider-Bite because I guess she probably is stuck there.
Yeah, I think she's stuck there, but I also think that they made her the monitor. Like
right.
She handles that.
Yeah,
that's her role. But so when he gets sent back, like I said. Again, for me, I was still the rules was still there.
Yeah.
Because it became like he's like, all right, I need to tell my mom who I am.
Right.
So that way we can save Dad. So he's talking to her and she's like, yo, where, like, what's going on? So like it seems like
it all fit. It all
and
fit.
He's like, I'm gonna tell you something. And she's like, all right, what you about to tell me? And then when he tells her, she's like okay,
yeah. But when you realize where this universe's Miles is doing it, you get why it all fits now. I didn't catch that until after the end, where you get why all of them. She's kind of worried about what he's doing and stuff. It all fits now.
And then like even so, and at that point I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Because I still didn't catch it, right? Because I didn't catch the moment where they identified.
Yeah, because what they do is they put the number there.
And I didn't even realize what his original universe number was.
I don't know what his universe number is.
So
I just remember him saying it for the spider.
The 42, I'm like, all right, that's his universe, right? So then when it's happening, then Uncle comes through, and the first thing he says, he's like, yo, you changed your hair? He was like, oh, like that. He was like, all right, that's crazy. And he's like, and then he's trying to put it together. And then that's when I'm like, yo, something is different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, come on, we got to go. And I'm like, all right, like, wait, what? Like, so at that point, what I'm thinking, and I still thought I didn't know his uncle knew. I'm thinking that his uncle still was like, thinking that that's his Miles, and whatever they've been doing, he's about to get it on. So I'm like, okay, they're obviously about to be on some evil shit.
Right.
I didn't expect the twist until he got knocked out, and then when he comes through, and then you see his uncle, I'm like, oh shit, all right, this Prowler's running rampant, because you know his uncle still got the glove.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, and he's like, yo, you ain't got to do this.
He's like, you thinking this universe is just full of Prowlers?
Yeah. And then when you get the reveal that the Prowler, he's like, nah, I'm not Prowler, this ain't me. And he's like, what? And then when you just turn around and you see Miles looking menacing.
Yeah.
In the Prowler, I say, yeah.
Got the braids and everything. No, I told you.
Yeah.
The minute I saw the different universe, because remember also Gwen, she was doing her whole thing. Mm-hmm. Her, the Peter with the baby, they done all changed Spider-Punk. Yeah. They're all like, all right, we got to find Miles basically to help out. The Indian Spider-Man as well. And I was like,
yeah, because they was on a hunt.
Yeah.
Because they went to
Miles'
universe looking for him, to staking out at all the places because they thought that they knew he was trying to go home.
I saw that, and like I said, that was the next scene. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a cliffhanger. See, and
then you knew that there was a Beyond the Spider-Verse. Again, the way I watch trailers, y'all, is I watch the first trailer and then I avoid everything else. So I didn't even know that there was another movie coming. So I'm not even expecting a cliffhanger, right? So I'm watching it with glee and everything. And so when it happened in the spurt, I'm like, damn, well, it was crazy reveal. And he even goes through a dialogue.
Yeah.
He starts telling them about this world and starts telling them everything. And I'm like, all right, what's going to happen? I'm like, yo, how they going to deal with this? And then it goes up. I said, what?
My stomach was dropping. Like the minute where he started talking with his uncle again, my stomach just started dropping because I'm like, it's happening some point here. I don't know where it's gonna happen here, but it's gonna happen, and I'm about to be pissed.
Yeah.
And it was like the ending was great. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, and so like, because like I said, I'm just trying to think like. I really just like, everything. Also, like, even the subtle things, like, knowing that this Miles is connected to, like, just the culture. Like, there was, like, Black Lives Matter stickers and everything. Like, there was so much stuff, even with the shoes. Like, also, I didn't realize Gwen Stacy had iconic shoes.
I didn't either.
Yeah, because I saw somebody who was like, oh, I got to wear my shoes with I think hers is Chucks.
Oh, okay.
She wears
Converse.
And which is dope, because, like, all these, which is also like, hey, at some point, y'all got to give Peter some shoes, man.
No, Peter gonna have some. He gonna have some new shoes. He gonna have some New Balances on y'all. Dad 7s.
Yeah, but then also even knowing that everything is connected, like Miles goes, he referenced going to Princeton. We know that in our universe, I call the main MCU timeline our universe. Ain't that where Mary Jane and them was at? Isn't they at Princeton?
Ooh, no, they were Did they go to Princeton?
Because I know they had an Ivy League, right?
I thought Riri Williams is at Princeton.
At Princeton. I knew somebody was there because I wrote.
They might be too. Yeah. I'd have to double check.
Yep. And then they did a Venom crossover too, didn't they?
Yeah, they showed the lady from Venom.
They showed the lady from Venom. That was dope. Like it was just really, really dope the way that they they connected the culture, but then also just connected so many other things. But yeah, these are all the references. I'm trying to just going through my notes here. But it was just dope the way that they connected, and then it did make me excited for Beyond the Spider-Verse. And here's the thing: it wasn't sometimes when you don't expect a cliffhanger, you're upset at the cliffhanger.
They were trying to go to MIT,
and
that might be where Riri Williams is at too. Now that I think about it,
so too. But I think just dealing with the Ivy League, that's why I wrote it down. But being able to. Like sometimes you get the cliffhanger, you're like, damn it, man. Like you're like, you're like, dang it, man. Like, oh man, like I wasn't ready for this to end, and this wasn't a good cliffhanger to end. Like this made sense on where it ended.
Yeah,
and I'm still excited for Beyond. I'm just like, yo, I cannot wait for Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, to the point, like I said, as nerve-wracking as the cliffhanger itself was, where it ended was like. Yep, that's the perfect moment you should end it at. It got you frustrated enough to be like, dog, what? And then, but at the same time, you're like, all right, I'm here for what's happening next.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was a good cliffhanger in that sense, and because there's so many questions. Like you got, how is he finna get out of this? What's gonna happen with the group that's on his universe looking for him?
What's gonna happen with Spot?
What's gonna happen with Spot?
Because remember, he had ended, like, he had created this huge, big ass collider.
Yeah.
And then he ended up, like said, they was trying to stop him. Remember?
He got that.
They was trying to stop him from being, what he was doing, it was making himself absorb into it so he become all powerful. And like, they literally had him where he wasn't going to, like, they was talking to him and he was like, nah. And he kind of just like cut his time and went into it. So now we know that he's about to be this big, overwhelming, multiversal like threat.
Right. Then you got to figure still from us, 2099 is after him. All the rest of the Spider crew, they're all after him.
Yeah, because the rest of the Spider crew, except the ones that turned.
Yeah, except the ones that turned. I low key, I think Issa Spider Woman turning too. Because she kind of the way how she was looking at it, seeing like how hard she was going for this, how hard Gwen was. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of like sort of turning the tide for her.
Because I also do believe, because remember she had action. She like, wasn't there somebody that you had once loved?
Yeah.
And where you would do this for? And she was like, yeah, I did. And she was like, what happened? She's like, I got over it. So like, you got to think that Spider Woman, for her, she made the tough decision to cut ties or whatever she did whenever we get her story to not do it, versus Gwen, who's fighting for it. She's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, dang, you know, because you got to think, when somebody makes a tough decision, no matter what decision you make, you're always going to have that what if.
Yep.
So now you're like, you know what? If I can't have my what if, I'm not going to stop this person.
You kind of become kinder to the other person trying to do it.
So it's like, so you have all those questions as well. Also, like, again, you know, what's happening with Gwen and her pops?
Yeah, because he said that he resigned from the force, so he's no longer going to be the captain. Mm-hmm. So her canon moment sort of changes where yes, the captain's going to die, but it's not going to be her pops. Yeah. Whereas Miles, his dad is about to become the captain.
And right now, nothing has stopped it yet. Yeah. Remember, everything is still in motion because Miles went to the wrong time.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, there's so much, man. And, you know, shout out, I forgot bro's name that we met from Vibe. But but like the one thing, like, so when we was there and we got to see it, there was a couple of people there from the media, and one thing that he kept on saying was, "They'll get y'all award speeches ready," and I agree,
100%.
I agree, like oh my god,
I would be shocked, if something beats this for best animated for sure.
Yeah, like so. Do you have a favorite moment?
Ooh, I think it is when you first see all of the spider people, because it was still even before you kind of got to where it was like everything became hectic. It was still very like, this is this Spider-Man, it's that Spider-Man, that's T-Rex Spider-Man. It was sort of introducing all the different Spider-Mans, and that was just cool to see.
Yeah, and I think that like that moment, I think Donald Glover's moment is going to get the biggest, like, you know.
Yeah, that's going to get a crowd pop.
Yeah, everybody has that moment where you're like, oh!
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, in No Way Home, like I said, when the Peters came, like there was multiple moments, obviously.
For sure.
But when Peters came through it, like that was a huge moment. Like I said, you think about, like, you know, in Multiverse of Madness, when we saw the Illuminati, that was a moment. And I think that this one is going to be that moment.
I could see it.
And then again, I am still in agreement. This is literally the best Spider-Man.
Yeah, there's no way you can't say it.
And that's not no knock to any of the last trilogies that we got of Spider-Man, because that obviously goated as well. It's still good, and then that's the testament. It's like you took something that, in totality, when we look at those 3 Spider-Man movies, we're like, yo, this is the greatest Spider-Man stuff that we've gotten. Like, it is so dope.
Right.
And we loved it. And Spider-Verse, I mean, remember, at that time, Into the Spider-Verse was like, yo, okay, but what about that one?
Right. That was always that trilogy code, but Into the Spider-Verse.
And so now, like I said, if they do Beyond the Spider-Verse, it's going to be a real competition between Spider-Man, MCU Spider-Man trilogy and the Spider-Verse trilogy. It is going to be a real conversation about which trilogy is better, because both of them, think about it, Spider-Man 1 and then Spider-Man Far From Home, right? 1 and 2. it elevated. It was both. Spider-Man 1 was dope, and then we was like, there's no way. And Spider-Man Far From Home did the same. He was like, yo, this is still dope.
Yeah.
Right? So now you had Spider-Verse was like, yo, this is dope. There's no way. And then Spider-Verse 2 was like, so even if you take those two, if you take Spider-Man and Spider-Man, both of those two, the first two in the MCU, and Spider-Verse and Spider-Verse 2, Across Spider, that is still a good competition.
Yeah.
Yo, what is this?
If we're saying as a unit, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, I definitely got them better than Homecoming and Far From Home.
You do?
I definitely.
Ooh, you know what? That's a good question. I want to hear from y'all. Homecoming and No Way Home. I mean, Far From Home
versus Into the
Spider-Verse
and Across the Spider-Verse.
Ooh, which two do you got better?
I think I definitely got the Spider-Verses ahead of that.
I don't know yet.
Definitely, I'm curious to see what they're gonna say in the comments.
I don't know yet.
I'm
but
so
I really
curious.
Want to know what y'all think. Yeah, because that is gonna be such a really good conversation. Oh man, and shout out to Shamik Moore, man. His range, bro. Because like remember, I just got done watching all of Wu-Tang Saga.
Oh yeah,
so seeing him as Raekwon and how hardcore he is, and then just having him jump into Miles, it's like, bro, he's killing
the
it.
voice acting in this, and I know we talked about it earlier, and I know we're trying to rap, but the voice acting was crazy.
Voice acting was crazy. So yeah, so that's what I really want to know. One, what are y'all ranking this movie? But two, take the first two MCU Spider-Man, so Homecoming and Far From Home versus Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. Which one? What are y'all giving the victor to? And explain why. I want to know why y'all choosing this. But as always, man, this is the only podcast that blend hip hop culture and geek culture together, and we are out.
Peace.